Just ready whenever you're ready.
Great. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Julie. Hi there, everybody. I'm Brigette Marty with the Graduate Business Career Center, and with me is Will O'Brien, who is a fellow career coach with the Graduate Business Career Center. And we serve all of our students, but we pay a special extra focus to our working professional population. So folks that are pursuing graduate degrees and working typically full-time and in conjunction. And so partly that is what inspired this presentation today. So we will be guiding you on this journey. Julie Bartels, who is our wonderful producer for this, will be kind of keeping an eye on chat and on Zoom. Will be letting us know when things go haywire, as they sometimes do. So we're excited to have you here. We know folks may be eating lunch or corralling kids or in the office, whatever you're doing, it's all good. We love to see your face if we can. It's always more enjoyable to present to a smiley room of folks, but we also understand if you want to be eating, enjoying that lunch. So we always love to start with a chance for folks to hear their voice, their e-voice, that is. So what we wanted you to start thinking about is what has been a high impact class. So from your Carlson experience so far. So a course that has really helped you hone some skills, learn more about yourself, learn more about other people. You got to work on some cool projects, something that when you look back on your Carlson experience, you will definitely speak of fondly. So we'd love to have you share your answers in the chat. And we'd love to see a good list going of what have been those high impact class from your Carlson experience.
They're just trying to choose between all of the really great ones that they've had.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, diversity and inclusion in the workplace, timely, important, love that. Oh, the Val Lab, yeah, consistently a winner. Ooh, data and people analytics. Oh, and AI for competitive advantage. Ooh, these are so timely. These are so timely. That always makes me excited to see what students are taking and loving. Yeah, marketing analytics, managerial decisions, digital marketing. I love this. We often say curiosity, interest is what drives career, and your courses that you love are often a signal of that, kind of an indicator. These are things that are interesting. So I'm seeing negotiation strategies, leadership development. These are things that are intriguing and interesting to you. Interest drives career. So as we're going through this session, we are going to be asking you to do reflection and thinking about courses and skills and things that you've been honing and gaining throughout your Carlson experience. So you might want to have an open document nearby to type into, a sheet of paper, a little, I've always got my little notepad handy here for any of you who've coached with me, I'm always taking notes on that. So feel free to take some notes. Also, if you're like, hey, I think I need to find maybe I want to take one of these classes that are on this list because this looks kind of interesting to me. So that would be wonderful. So you are joining us today because you have some interest in learning about how you can leverage the value of your graduate degree and your graduate experience for career advancement. And so we have kind of put a special framework on this session so that it's more tailored towards like doing a promotion within your organization. We are going to deviate out from that a little bit and talk about some other situations, but I think this is a very timely topic because of the really hot job market that we're in, and we're nearing spring graduation, which is a time when many people's minds turn to job changes. But I had a really fun conversation in coaching this morning with a candidate who said, who said, sometimes when I get so stressed about, sometimes I get really stressed about my job search because I look on LinkedIn and then like suddenly someone just lists they got a new job and it's like it just magically happened. And I said, right, but we know all the hustle, all the stuff that goes in behind the scenes to actually like make that promotion happen, that job change happen. It doesn't just happen. It's kind of like what we've learned about like Facebook can be kind of like success theater. Everything looks amazing, but there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. And we're going to help you dig into that and make sense of a process that you can use to articulate the value of your degree, do some leverage your research skills to learn what's happening in your organization and in the current marketplace, and then position yourself for that ask to leverage your degree in the organization so that you too will be able to make that change on LinkedIn someday and show that promotion, show that new role. But we will all know there's a lot of hustle behind the scenes to make that happen. Okay. So I'm going to turn it over to Coach Will. We're going to be bouncing back and forth so that you don't have to hear from just one of us all the time. But we will also be popping in on and interrupting each other as we tend to do. So hang on, everybody.
Thanks, Brigette. So yes, I'm Coach Will. And so what I want to start off with is some context setting, getting you in the right mindset. We're going to try to make this feel a bit more workshoppy and not just preachy at you with lots of info that way. But what I want you to start off with is getting your head around some of the myths that we anticipate and we hear when we're talking with people thinking about, and I'm managing my career and I want to get that promotion, getting yourself in the right mindset. So first, people should just know I'm a hard worker. I'm working on my MBA, all these things. Okay. Most of us are pretty busy. Most of us are looking forward. Don't assume that the people that you're working with, the leaders in your company, know everything that's going on in your world, in your life, and also how good you are at your job and what you're doing. So this is going to help you be thinking about, I've got to document things. I've got to be able to express to these leaders that I have done these, or I'm working on a degree right now. It's getting me ready to go forward. Another myth, maybe people don't even know that you want to move up right away or move into a new team. And so making sure that you're explicitly stating, yes, my goal is to be in this role, or my goal is to move into these roles. And so helping people to understand what you're thinking, sharing that, getting that shared information, that shared mindset. Another myth, the only way to learn about job openings is when HR posts them. You've probably heard the term the hidden job market, and yes, jobs typically do get posted eventually, but the job might already be targeted for someone that might already be, just posting out of obligation. So be thinking about, how can I learn about those jobs, as strategically our company is going to be posting them in the future. There's lots of myths that you could be thinking about with, how do I manage my career well? But I want you to get in the mindset of, what is it going to take to be getting that promotion? So let's move on to the next slide. Oh, do you have it shared with me here, Brigette? All right. I'm moving a little fast here. So,
okay. So you should see.
Yeah. Okay. So how jobs are filled. The next part of the mindset that I want to get you thinking about. This comes from one of the most famous career management books, job search books of all time. What color is your parachute? And in Parachute, there is this example of how jobs are filled. And this is really, I think, crucial to be aware of when you're thinking about how jobs get filled. Now, employers are thinking, how do I trust that the person that I'm going to offer this job to or put into this job can do this job? What way do I know that I can move someone into this job and trust that they can do it? Well, can I promote someone on my team already or somewhere in the company into this role, and they can take a leadership role and move into this? So can I promote someone I've seen on a daily basis doing the work that is demonstrating they can do the job? Or is there someone that can prove, someone inside the company, outside the company, that can prove that they can do this type of work? Or do I have a referral, someone that I trust says, oh yeah, this person I know will be able to do a good job. And so the implications of each step down this upside down triangle here is, can this person prove that they can do the job, can trust that this person, the hiring manager can trust that this person will be able to get into this role and do it. And so employers are starting from the top and looking for ways, the most trustworthy ways to fill a role. The implications for job seekers, and you in this case, is how can I think about proving and being the most trustworthy person to be able to do this job? So I want you to be thinking about is how can I help my hiring manager trust that I can do this job? So I'm going to be using this term a lot, proving and trusting throughout this presentation. So yeah, if we can move on here. So we also acknowledge that there's multiple ways to get into that next role. You might be looking to move externally. You might be seeking a promotion. You might be what we call a boomerang, someone who goes out, gets a new job, and then comes back to your original company. So you go out, you get a new role, you come back in. Today, we're really going to be focusing on this middle path, this promotion, but we do acknowledge that you may need to leave your company, or you may need to leave your company and come back. So just know that this is the pathway we're going to be focusing on today. So one of our foundations of this presentation is articulating the value of your graduate degree. So to be able to articulate it, you're going to have to do some self-assessment. So this is the workshop-y part. So yeah, like Brigette said, you got that paperwork out, you got a doc next to you, you're taking some notes. What I want you to do, and you can be doing this while I'm talking, is I want you to be gathering data, gathering points for your academic resume, meaning what are some of those classes? We kind of got the prime the pump with that opening question of what's an impactful class that you've done. But it's not just classes. It's not just the assignments, the coursework. It could be group projects outside of coursework. It could be experiential learning, enterprises, clubs. It could have been a conference that you went to. You gained some knowledge from that. Faculty talks, trainings. It could have been if you had the chance to participate in study abroad. Or there are other things that might be unique to your academic experience that are going to be data points that you're going to be using to craft that statement that this is how I prove that I can do this next level job, that I'm ready for that promotion. So take some time throughout this as we go through these next few slides of jotting down some of these impactful experiences that you've had that are really going to be able to prove that I have the new knowledge, skills, and abilities to be promoted. All right, let's move on to the next slide here. So here's some key questions. Maybe you're going through what you've gathered, that stuff that you've written down, and you think, I got to highlight like what really answers these questions. You're assessing yourself, you're gathering information, you're assessing what you've done. So what skills have you built or refined throughout the program? What industry and functional knowledge have you acquired? What have you learned about yourself from your leadership style and leadership assessments? I want you to be thinking about what you've done, all that stuff you've gathered for your academic resume, all of those experiences that you've had, and think about the knowledge, skills, abilities, leadership. Think about all those things and what are the really impactful things? What is going to craft the best argument for, I can prove that I can do this job. I'm ready to be promoted. So when you have that list gathered, go through and highlight it, mark it up. What is the most significant stuff for you? Okay, let's move on to the next slide. So this is a great analysis that our office has done. So taking an analysis of 260 plus MBA job postings and looking at what are the top skills that are consistently sought by employers. So you can see this list: communication, teamwork, etc. So you look at this list and you think, okay, this is what hiring managers are seeking. These are the things that they're thinking about. Oh, does this candidate or my employee have these and are ready to move into this role, that really it's critical to have these things. So I want you to take for a second, look at this list, and then I want you to pop into the chat, which of these skills have you further developed during the program? So everyone's going to be coming in with different levels of these skills. So what have you further developed and also applied on the job? Because that's going to be key in your articulation to the employer, to the hiring manager, to your boss. How have you applied these skills that have been developing? As you're saying, I've gone through this program and I've really developed myself. Which of these skills are the ones that you're going to say, I've really improved my communication skills? Bridget, what's showing up
Yeah,
in the chat?
yeah, we're seeing great. I'm trying not to laugh. There's a couple of like thriving in a challenging environment, thriving question mark maybe, you know, but I definitely think that stress testing that happens when you're in your graduate program and trying to live life as a breathing human being. The interpersonal communication skills are definitely surfacing, lots of teamwork. Anyone can work in a team, but how do you effectively work or lead in a team is something. The project management skill set, but lots of the thriving in a challenging environment, which is good. We were, to deviate for a second, you know, in the midst of COVID, we were hearing interviewers were asking questions like, how has your job shifted during COVID, or have you seen any impact? When we're reviewing resumes with working professionals, I'll say, you know, has anything happened as a result of COVID in your job that you had to stand up a new initiative quickly or do a quick pivot? Let's put that in there. So challenging environment, great. Lots of the cross-functional experience and the communication, concise and effective communication. Yeah, this is good. Okay, this is good. Admissions is going to be like, all right, look at this. We got a good list of skills that are getting developed.
Yeah, the stretch, that persistence, that grit mindset that, yes, this last 2 years has challenged us all in many, many ways. And this program has hopefully grown you in many different ways that you can apply on the job. So you're documenting these things and you have this list in mind. And again, you're going to get these slides so you can, you know, take this and add them to your, you know, document or your journal, however you are going to be documenting and gathering and then highlighting like what's most significant. But you're thinking about what knowledge, skills, and abilities do I have and that I've applied on the job that are really showing that I'm ready for that next level. Okay, let's keep moving on. We got another slide on skills as well. So in addition to that list of skills that came from our analysis, we're also thinking about these skills. So we've got both some bulleted lists and then a graphic of hard and soft skills. So analytical thinking. You know, what is it that's going to give you that critical thought process that is going to get you ready to apply that in the next project, the next, you know, aspect of your role that's going to really show that you're ready for that level of responsibility. Macro lens on the business, managing complexity, managing ambiguity. That came up loud and clear in that chat cloud that we just had going. So thinking about the hard skills, what are those hard skills that you need to show that, yep, I've got these hard skills, these technical skills, these industry specific skills, analytical skills, for example. But what about the soft skills that you need to lead? All those things on that side of the brain image here. And then what are we missing? What other skills do you need that you need to have to say, these are the skills that are important for my company or my industry or the role that I'm going for? So skills is one big component of this overarching, you know, argument for why you're ready to do that next job. Okay, let's move on to the next part of the KSA. It's here. So knowledge, both industry knowledge and functional knowledge. What kind of knowledge have you gained through your coursework, through this degree program that's really getting you ready? Is it theoretical knowledge? Is it practical knowledge, combination, case knowledge that you're doing these cases? What knowledge are you pulling from historical failures or great successes? What kind of current events and industry specific insights are you gaining? What technical knowledge are you pulling from your courses and from your experiences throughout Carlson? Brigette, are there any other industry functional knowledges that you like when you think about adding that knowledge?
I would say, well, obviously, like we have the Medical Industry Leadership Institute, but also thinking, you know, I'm just thinking about one ways you tap into this through some coursework, but also through clubs and organizations, case studies that you have read, you know, like part of what we look for from our graduate business students is to be generalists, to be able to plug and play in a variety of environments. And so we don't, just because you didn't do a specialization in a certain industry or something, doesn't mean you haven't acquired that knowledge. You don't have to be a subject matter expert. We do like for you to have breadth of knowledge too. So I would just add that in.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so let's go into the next slide. One of the things I wanted to demonstrate, and I thought about putting this in here twice because it really is that foundation of knowledge, skills, and abilities. Think about the hiring manager and assessing you for your readiness to take that next role and to move up. Do you have the KSAs, the knowledge, skills, and abilities to be qualified to do the job and to thrive in that job? So as you're doing your assessment, you've got your document of all these things you're gathering. That what are my strongest points that I'm going to make? The knowledge, skills, and abilities. I also put this image of the experience at the base of it, the foundation, because not only are you going to have the knowledge, not only are you going to have, say, I've developed these skills, but when have you applied it? How have you tested it, the knowledge and the skills and the abilities that you've developed on the job, in the classroom, in stretch projects, thinking about how are you developing and applying this knowledge, skills, and abilities. So as we wrap this section, and we got one more slide here, but just be thinking about all of the KSAs that you are going to utilize when you're saying, I'm ready for that next level role, and here's why, and here's where I've applied it. All right, the last slide in this first part about your kind of self-assessment, about your what you've done and where you're headed and what's going to get you ready for that is, let's say at the end of your assessment, you're like, oh, I don't have everything that is required, or I've gotten some feedback from a mentor or someone who's done that role that you're not quite ready for that. What can you be doing now? Especially for those of you who are earlier on in the program and not graduating for maybe a few more semesters. What can you be doing now in your organization to demonstrate your new skills? How can you apply those KSAs that you're pulling from the classroom? Well, one of the terms we use a lot is stretch projects. Can you volunteer or ask for, request for something that will stretch you, something that's in addition or beyond what you've done so far, to show that you have, in the future, once you've done this project, you have that experience. You've applied your knowledge, skills, and abilities in those areas. So can you proactively seek something? Can you ask for an internal internship, so to speak, in quotes there, like, can I get something new to try this out, to be able to, I'm going through this program, I've got this new course I've taken, and I'm ready to try it and apply it. Maybe it's networking. You have a new mentor that can give you some feedback, some awareness of where are some of your gaps and what you need to do to be ready to move into one of those leadership roles or move into the next role. So if you, after all of your assessment, look at your KSAs and say, I don't quite have everything I need, think about ways that you can continue to add to that on the job. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Brigette on the next section here.
Thanks, Will. And if you're going through this, kind of hearing this first section of things, like Will said, and you're kind of like, uh-oh, we're here to help you strategize too. This is a lot of what we do in coaching sessions, is help you strategize ways to build those skills out too, and help you kind of navigate the university system and the Carlson school to find some of those opportunities. Or to find some folks to get connected to for a mentoring wise. And a pro tip we also share is, if your organization or company is offering any sort of tuition assistance or tuition discount for your program, don't hesitate to say, I appreciate that ABC organization is investing in me and supporting my graduate degree. I'd like to be able to return some of that, not money, but return it in the form of talent and time and, engaging in a stretch project, right? So it's kind of showing your commitment to reinvesting back in the org. So next, we're going to move into our second of 3 sections. And this is about understanding the current state of the job market, which is wild, and your organization. So as you can tell, we started with you really being able to reflect on what you have learned, because we want you to be able to tell your story. And it is unique to you, your work experience, your academic, your volunteer experiences, being able to reflect on them. So as you reflected, we're focused on the me, now we're focusing out on what's happening externally. And this is a quick little section, but it's very important because you need to know what you're going towards. So we do, well, one, we love to give good news in the Career Center. We don't love to give not the best news. What we would love, I literally said this to Will the other day, I said, at graduation, I want to be able, when students walk off the stage And I position myself, I'm one of the marshals that helps it after you come off the stage. So I'll see some of you. We want to be able to, you're going to get your degree. We'd love to be able to hand you a job or a new job or promotion at that same moment. We can't. We wish we could give that to you. That would be amazing. And I hope somebody just sound bites that out and puts that somewhere on the internet. And it's like, oh, did you know Carlson just gives you a new job once you graduate? But we recognize it's not as easy as that to just get that new role. And so as we talked about earlier, when Will had that great graphic of like kind of the 3 different directions, as you are assessing, you know, the skills and what you've been, how you've grown and what you're looking for, we need to be honest about, are there opportunities? Are you going to reach your goals of what you're looking for with growth in your role, compensation goals, leading other people, leading projects, you know, whatever your career goals are you going to be able to reach those in your current organization? And sometimes that compensation goal can't be met in your current organization. And we like to get folks kind of the lay of the land. Typically, an average annual increase or a raise would be about 3%. And a promotion, depending on how big of a promotion, could be 3 to 10%. But you have more negotiating power and a higher likelihood of making a bigger compensation jump when you leave an organization. And so for some of you, this may be news. For others, it may be like, oh, crud. It's not ideal. Again, we wish we could give you that great pay increase, corner office with your degree. But sometimes, as Will mentioned earlier, we have to boomerang. Sometimes we have to leave an organization, do something, and then maybe we come back later. We never know. But we do want to level set that it is not common for an organization to say, excellent, Chris, you earned your degree. Here's a 20% pay increase. It doesn't just happen that way. So how can you know what's going on in the job market? Because you need to know your current state. Salary site. Do we wish we had just one site for you to use? Yes. However, diverse information is important. You want to diversify your resources as you're gathering information. And Will has put awesome links in here. And again, you'll get this slide. We also have all of these resources on our website as well. But go do some research and digging into what are companies paying for types of roles, types of industries. So we have a great set of resources. In addition, we have our Carlson employment reports, which I highly recommend. I just used one yesterday for a student and was highlighting. We gather data when students graduate. We ask, Julie Bartels is our wonderful person who does that, asks folks to share information about their employment outcomes. And so we leverage that data in annual reports that come out around different programs such as the MBA and our business analytics and human resources degrees. Our degrees that are a little more established and we have some employment data, we build a report out from it and we help folks see what is the average market paying right now. Well, it would be like last academic year for like an MBA role or human resources role. So that is a wonderful data point and they're all on our website and they're all shareable. So you can actually share those with your company if you need to. So doing research on that also and talk with your coach. We're happy to help with that if you want some help kind of deciphering those reports, but also think of any professional affiliations that you're in part of. So APICS is a great example of one, which is our Association for Supply Chain Management. Professional organizations often do their own salary benchmarking as well. So if any of you have ones that you're involved in, if you're in marketing or other supply chain ones, operations groups, consulting groups, if there's any other professional groups that you would recommend and you want to share with the room, please feel free to throw those in the chat because we can always pop those into this deck before we send it out to everybody too. We love to crowdsource information from the movers and shakers out there. So there is a way for you to just gather some information and be able to build your own spreadsheet of like, what are roles typically paying in my industry and functional area. So that's kind of doing it's not rocket surgery, folks. That's all it is. It's just gathering some data. That's it. And trying to see what the range is for the salary. And then we kind of understand where your role is within that range. The other thing to think about is doing some research and reflecting on what's the current state of your organization. Are you talking to folks outside of your working department, which we know has been for some really easy and for many really difficult, especially during the pandemic, as people were remote working and it was hard to kind of get connected and have some of those hallway conversations, cafeteria conversations, casual networking things. But it is still important to take charge and take the initiative to have conversations with people in your organization, whether that be folks that you've seen advance up. You kind of like, oh, they've made some interesting career moves. You snooped on them on LinkedIn and see what they're up to. Definitely leveraging the Carlson students and alumni LinkedIn page, which these are all embedded links in the presentation. So you'll be able to go to our networking resources and also go to the Carlson LinkedIn page, where you can search by company, by function, by geographic region, and see where all 45,000 of our alumni are working. And you may be surprised to know that there's some Carlson alumni in your organization that you could go and chat with and learn a little bit more. In addition, we want you to leverage any mentorship relationships, groups, so like employee resource groups that you're in, kind of any ERGs, or if maybe you're in a smaller organization, you're part of some larger affiliates, or like the Minnesota Council of Nonprofits is a great larger organization that kind of provides some networking resources and benchmarking for folks. Leverage the people and start to have some conversations. What's trending in their area? What are those areas of growth? What are those areas where we're seeing things contract? What is the strategic plan for your organization? Where is the direction of the organization? Many of you who were around the Twin Cities this past summer, we watched as General Mills went through a large restructuring, and they were really vocal about wanting to position more with some data and AI tools and wanting to leverage technology in a different way as part of the reasoning behind how they were kind of reorging their business. That's good intel to have if you're looking to advance up in that space. So we want you to be thoughtful and leverage those good research skills that you've honed while you're in the program, so that you can kind of understand what some of the opportunities might be. Okay, so if you learn, oh, hey, maybe my salary is a little under market right now, good thing to know. Maybe you learn your salary is above market. Congratulations. We love that for you. If you are learning, hey, my organization might be growing, there might be some opportunities that we weren't aware of, as Will mentioned earlier in the slide about in the career myths, so like new jobs happen all the time that you didn't know were going to get posted. And so, but you never know when one thoughtful conversation can help you figure out where you might be able to position yourself. So after you've done self-reflection and then you've done some Nancy Drew snooping on the organization and the job market, then we really want to think about how you want to proceed. And this is a lot of what we do in coaching sessions with you. And so hopefully this will prompt some more questions from you that you'll want to explore in a coaching session with us, and we can help you think about this a little more. But this is where we have to go back and assess what is really best for me. So we started this presentation saying, we want to help you get that promotion. But as Will and I were building this content, we were like, and we need to bring the slide back, because we may have students who you've gotten to this point and then you've realized, I might have outgrown my company. Maybe I am at the top of the salary range and my area is not the area they're going to be investing in. Or the skills and the experiences I've gained in my graduate program have me curious and wanting something different. I'm ready to try something new, which is really common. You have been stress tested these last few years and done more than you thought you possibly could. It's kind of like driving. When I go visit my family, I'm like on the interstate the whole way. And then the last 40 minutes are 2-lane county highways. And it is difficult for Brigette Marty to go from 75 miles an hour to 55 miles an hour, and you have to dodge tractors. And so if you've been like going and doing this really, like kind of dynamic graduate and work experience, and then suddenly your graduate program's done and you're like, well, now what? That's where we may realize we need to leave. And that's what we're here to help you do, because you have lifetime services with us. So again, we recognize this may be a moment where you realize I've outgrown my organization. But if you decide you want to stay, we go back. What do I know? How am I going above and beyond in my job? And if you're like, okay, so if at this point you're like, okay, you know what? I want to stay in my organization. I want to get this promotion. Here's the skills. What we want you to be able to go to is, here are the skills. Here's the value that I'm adding to the organization, the skills. Here's where I see being able to grow. And I'm starting to figure out where I can position myself competitively for a promotion. Does all of this happen overnight? No. But over the course of a couple of weeks and having these conversations, there definitely will be answers to these questions. Okay. So then we move into formulating the clear ask. So you've kind of taken stock of what you want. And these are 3 common types of asks. One, you've throughout the course of your time there, you've taken on some new responsibilities. You've expanded your role because you're a star, you're a graduate student and you're bright and you've learned all these new things in the classroom and you've tried to apply them in the work environment. So you've taken on new things. Then we need to request a compensation and or title review. So that's an ask. That's a clear ask. As I'm nearing the end of my graduate program and I'm seeing all the amazing things that I've been able to do in this role, I would love to take set up time to have a compensation and title review. That's it. Clear ask. Okay. Maybe you're like really thoughtful about like, okay, hey, right now I'm a program manager and that next level is going to be a senior program manager. And from what I've learned, I am well positioned for this. And you know what that's going to be like. Then you meet with your leader and you have that conversation. As I'm nearing completion of my program, or I've recently completed my program, I'm eager to talk about how I can be positioned to move smoothly into that senior role. Okay. If your intel, your experiences, your conversations, your market research, your graduate experience has shown you, we have room to maybe innovate and think of something different. Maybe you're going to write your own job description. And I was sharing this example with Will. I had a great student that I worked with who was able to identify through this process where what her team needed and what her leader needed was someone to be managing strategy for the division, but there wasn't anybody. And so we wrote up, I helped her write up, I mean, she did all of it. I just cheered her on, helped write up a position description, propose the position description, and that's what she's doing. She built her own job based on the skills that she recognized she had and the value she was adding. Because sometimes it's not, the job isn't already there. So she built it, okay? So this is the ultimate, you kind of get to this point, I've got a clear ask. This is what I know I want to do. And we make that ask and it goes swimmingly and you get more money. And you get the title and you get the corner office, maybe. Well,
yeah. So now I realize why you wanted me to do these slides. This is a fun, like, build up to the crescendo of like, yes, we've done the assessment, we've made the ask, we've put our argument together for why we should get promoted. And then
you get a new job, you get a promotion, you get your tuition covered, you get all these things.
And then that's why you're giving me these slides. Okay, so what if things don't go your way? Well, first off, as your coaches, we are here to recognize and empathize with you that this happens, and it sucks. And I was thinking about Coach Kelly did another one of these fundamentals back, I think it was January, on salary negotiation and getting like a low offer internally and how that was painful. And it's not exactly the same situation as what we're talking about today, but it's still that, like, there are times when you're at the job and you're just like, no, this did not feel good.
No, if you need us, you message us and we can be available for a hug. We can get to your work environment if you need us to. We'll hug you if you need it. Or sorry, because that's
virtual hug.
Yeah, hi, virtual hug.
Some emojis. Yeah. No, I mean, we really, like, this is real. This, many of you probably have experienced this yourself. And so you realize, like, this doesn't always go your way. But so one of the things is, after you take a break, step away, maybe it's a weekend, maybe it's just a good walk, you know, whatever it is, we want to encourage you to keep an open mind. That and this subtext here that Brigette wrote, I think, is so true, is like, your manager might be right there with you. And there may also be realities that they can't do anything about it. They can't give you that extra money, or they can't give you that new title or those new responsibilities for a variety of reasons. Some legitimate, some maybe not so much, but I want you to try your best, once you've kind of gathered yourself, is keep an open mind. And then I want you to game plan some more. I want you to think about, where can you compromise and how can you be creative to get something. Here's some suggestions, and there could be more suggestions too, but maybe it's that you say, well, I think I can't get a new title or the new promotion, but it's it's commission, or it's additional time off, or it's more flexibility, or more reimbursement on your tuition, or maybe it's a training that they can pay for. What is it that they can do to meet you in the middle? Get creative. Okay, let's go to the next one here. I want you to have a spirit of collaboration with your organization, with your direct supervisor, with your department, your division. So how can we, meet each other in the middle? When could we come back to this? If it's a no for now, when is it time to ask again? Is it at the end of the quarter, end of the year? When can we talk about this again? Maybe there's reasons you've noticed those gaps, you notice those KSAs, and they've noticed them too, and they're not ready to move you up. Well, what are some of those expectations that the organization has for you and for someone into this role? What are some milestones you need to meet? What are some goals that you need to be working on to be ready for that, to be entrusted with that next role? So ask when, ask what do I need to do to be able to move forward?
I just want to add in, I think it's saying, I want to work with you on this. I trust that you have my best interests at heart here. I'd love to work with you to come up with a plan that's going to work for both of us. And I know, I also just want you to also think of this information as maybe you are current or future people leaders, as you're going to have employees come to you who are going to want raises. And so this is also good best practices. If you cannot give them what you know that they rightly deserve, think about what you can do. How can you meet them in the middle and compromise too?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So like the whole like working with them, trying to like understand like timeline and whatnot, is it true that like technically once you get your MBA, like you're only valuable for a certain amount of time, like say 6 months? I've heard this like notion of like, usually when you graduate, like you're very like wanted in the beginning, and kind of as time tapers on, it's like a, yeah, great kind of a thing.
Oh,
Do you have insight on that?
Alicia, you are valuable always. Okay. You are
Thank
always,
you.
you are all always valuable, worthy human beings. What I would say is, yes, as I am a coach who has said this, when it comes to leveraging your degree for a role. So let's say you're currently in a role where, and if you're pursuing your MBA, you're currently in a role, an MBA is not required, but you are looking to be in a role where an MBA is required. We would just, I typically coach, you have about a year when your new degree is very shiny still, right? Your new grad still. So going for those roles that really require that MBA or that graduate degree, you have about a year where you're super shiny. And that's kind of just by default. However, you always need to own your story too, and explain why you're adding value and driving value to the organization. So was your next part about like, so if my organization isn't going to offer me or isn't going to support that promotion, then what?
Yeah, like I should just not hang on and be looking elsewhere. I mean, I'm always going to balance the like looking elsewhere with like trying to get promoted within, but I'm just like, I'd love to stay with my company, but it's hard to know that like, they're potentially not going to give me what I want. And so I'm just like trying to decide, like, is there a certain time frame that like is absolutely critical that I need to be, deciding like when enough is enough and like need to kind of move on.
It's a great conversation for a coaching session, so we can make, to help us understand your individual situation
Totally.
a little bit better. But I would lean towards, if you aren't going to be able to have your career goals met in your organization, then let's start the process of looking elsewhere. So,
okay, thank you.
Yeah. And Will, I don't know if you have something else.
I've been actually kind of busy in the chat here, so I didn't hear the original question, so I'll just say
you're all right. Just trust me. I think I did okay. Okay. Fine.
All right. Well, yes. Why don't we move on to, we're basically at the end here. But we did, this is, from my understanding, I'm relatively new still, but this is Coach Brigitte's brainchild, this Career Fundamentals series. And so this is the last one in this cycle for now. We have an awesome set of recordings here, so you can go back and look through these. But we also linked at the top this GBCC website /student/salary negotiation. There are a lot of our additional pieces. I've added some of these links in the chat already, but I would say, do a deep dive into all these great resources. Our website has a lot of stuff for the different specific questions you have, but then also, as Brigette mentioned, like some of these things don't even like match up with our website or any of our presentations. It's just like, hey, this is my super unique situation, and sign up for a coaching appointment. At the bottom of all of these slides is links to our site that could then redirect you over to Talent Link to set up a one-on-one with one of us. We don't always have the answers right away, but we can definitely be a sounding board for you and an empathizer for you on some of these like tough conversations and disappointing outcomes. But yeah, here's some of the additional resources that I wanted to elevate today.
Yeah, and we just want to reinforce, we always want you to make career moves based on abundance and choice and opportunity. It's a different way of being when you feel in control and you feel that you are the one driving your career success, which you are the only one responsible for your career success. We don't want you to operate from a mindset of deficit or frustration or disappointment, which can happen if this doesn't go your way, right? We 100% understand that. So that's something, part of what we do is help you get ready so you can move into that job space with abundance and that searching space. And here's the thing, this market is amazing. You are stellar candidates. Your degree has a lot of value to it. It's worth taking it out to the marketplace should you decide. And really smart employers are doing everything they can to retain you and keep you in the organization as well. So this is time for us to just hear your questions. We'd love to just know what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, tips, tricks that you have to share with others. Just hop off a mute and just yell at us. Yeah, we're fine at smart employers. No. We know not all employers have the same resources. Not everything is resourced really well too. It's tough. It's tough. But we do see this work. This does work. Make an ask, demonstrate your value, propose a new role. You can get where you want to go, I promise.
So Brigette and Will, if it's okay, I'd like to share some of my personal experience. I feel like I really appreciate this presentation because it's literally sort of describing my experience in my own organization. Mm-hmm. I feel like I've been growing in my role and I've been taking on a lot of responsibilities. So I had this conversation with my manager about a promotion and possibly raise. It was denied. And the reason was not objective to me. It's not like, oh, we did not hit this milestone, this expectation, but it's very subjective. It's like, you are not independent enough, you did not deliver results, but it's not like dollar sign. My business model, our business model is very different. It's not something like we can sell a certain dollar amount in 1 year. No, it's not like that. So it's not very convincing, and also saying like I'm not prioritizing. So to me, I was very frustrated, and it shows to me that my manager was not very honest with me as well. If she's honest with me saying, oh, there's some barriers internally, so there's not a chance for you to get a promotion, that I would accept like, hey, let's work on it together. Maybe in 2 years, our team situation is getting better, we can talk about it. So my approach was to figure out, okay, start networking, thanks to Brigette, and very nice coach, give me the idea of doing networking internally. So I've been doing that. And luckily, lately, I've been getting like more information about our company's strategic development and to figure out, okay, these group, they are growing so fast and there's a certain goal they want to achieve and they want to get more people. So next week I'm literally meeting their HR, trying to understand their HR like talent recruitment structure. So hopefully I can get some lead over there. And another team I've been networking as well recently said, oh, they want to grow as well. So I just wanted to like show my experience as an example of what Brigette and Will has talked about, they are so true. It's literally what I've been experiencing. I do have still have
We
some
didn't
questions.
plant her in the audience. Like we
No.
totally didn't plant her. This was not.
It happened to be. And tomorrow I do have a session with Brigette because I do have some detailed questions. So I'm probably gonna like throw a bunch of questions to you.
Yeah, it's tough. I think to kind of highlight something Will said too in the chat, which is like, if you are, if you are turned down for it, if you're and denials and delays are the worst. They are horrible when you're 2 years old and you don't get to what you want, and they're horrible when you're 42 years old. So denials and delays are no fun. So if you are denied that promotion, it is on you, and I encourage you and empower you and will help you craft the language to ask, what do I need to be doing to be positioned as a competitive candidate for a promotion or for this other role, and work with your leader. And if you do not have a leader that is looking to work with you on that, that's where something we will have to discuss and figure out. I mean, we wish we could go and help all of our leaders be better in this space, but often folks aren't trained in how to do that. But this specific feedback is essential. It's essential. So giving really clear feedback. But if so I'm so glad that you shared your story, Jan. Thank you so much.
What other questions are out in the audience today? We're going to be able to hang on for a bit longer here if there are questions that came up during this conversation today.
Maybe if we don't have any questions, if you want to share any takeaways in the chat, points that you think were really helpful, that helps us as we continue to refine our talking points. I was Coach Will and I were pulling this together. I was saying a lot, well, how would I coach this? Like if I'm in a coaching session, how I coach it with a student, and translating how we coach to how we train broadly, can be a little different based on someone's unique experience. So we do appreciate understanding what resonated with you, so that we can continue to reinforce those points out to others, because this is a very timely and relevant topic for many of our students.
Yeah, and in addition to anything that stood out to you, if there's anything that you wanted more information about, that also helps with developing future programming as well.
I actually do have a quick question, and it's kind of two-part. I'm in the midst of the part-time program, planning to hopefully be done this fall, but am looking for new roles right now. So I've applied to a few jobs, I have a few interviews coming up, and just curious, when you're still in the midst of the program, you haven't graduated yet, so you don't have that degree. Is now still the right time to kind of loop that into, let's say, you do get an offer within the program, how do you use that to your benefit? I guess I'll stop there. I kind of had a separate question, but.
I can take that one, Will, if you.
Yeah, why don't you start? I have some thoughts too.
Yeah. So we, we all have a lot of different motives for changing roles, right? And so my positioning is always, we want you to move with a sense of abundance and not desperation or deficit, right? So, but that's not always the case. Hopefully it is the case in your situation. You're moving because a great opportunity has come your way, or you're ready for a change, and so go for it. Again, I'm always in favor of folks repositioning themselves in the market or changing roles if it's going to get you closer to the industry or function or career goal that you have in general. So keep moving in the direction you want to be going, is what we support. I will say, if you are going towards a degree or towards a role that has like a master's required and you are a master's in progress, sometimes if you don't have that master's done, you can lose a little negotiating power in terms of salary. But my remedy for that is, if they come in a little lower, say upon completion of my graduate degree, I'd like to have a compensation review at that point. You've worked there for a few months by then, you've completed that degree, but we always want to make sure you maximize the value of that graduate degree. So my only time I get a little like, is if it's a master is required and you get dinged on the salary because of it. That's my thought. Well.
Yeah, Caitlin, did you have a follow-up question too, or a separate question?
My separate question was a little bit different, but kind of in the same vein. Like, I know, fall recruitment is upon us, and my conversations I've had with my leaders thus far have kind of been like, I'm looking internally at my current organization, but if I really don't find anything between now and then, that's when I'll start looking externally, leveraging the degree. So just curious I'm not sure if you touched on that already, but curious how you might frame that up, internally or to HR in your current organization.
Yeah, I mean, that's a common approach, is that folks will look, and we encourage you, look in your organization. If you like where you are, and look in the organization and see where you can continue to drive value and get the ROI on your graduate degree. And folks will often also leverage fall recruitment season or corporate reception opportunities to connect with companies and alumni as a way to also see what's happening out in the market and see if there's maybe some opportunities that they want to apply for. Everything is figure outable. And so I would never want you to avoid being in the job market, because it's like, oh, I took a new role within my company and I don't want to leave and take something in on-campus recruitment a couple months later. Don't worry about it. We will help you through any of that stuff. I like choice. My word is choice. I always want you to have as many choices as possible. Build choice. That's what a degree is about, is helping you illuminate and see all the options and choices. That's our goal for you.
Super helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a hot time right now. So if you are out searching, it could be that it moves quickly. But at the same time, you may say this isn't the right time to move after having these conversations, or this isn't the right role for me, but I'd love to stay in touch for future opportunities as well.
Absolutely. Well, I feel like we have covered a lot of ground today. I want to thank everyone for their time and energy. As we leave, we love to invite you to use the reactions bar on the Zoom window. So the little smiley face bar, we'd love for you to share a reaction. It can be related or irrelevant. We don't care, but give us a reaction before you sign off. And thank you so much, everybody, for sharing your time and interest with us. And please follow up in a coaching appointment whenever you're ready. Oh, look at it. Love it. Oh, yes.